So let's solve some problems from 16 now. As always, question 1 is for you guys. Have a go at it. I'm going to solve, let's start with number 3, okay? So in number 3, we are given 4 different scenarios, so A, B, C, and D. And for each of the scenarios, we have to determine what happens to the I's and the ln curve, okay? All right, so let's start with 3A. What happens is there is a decrease in expected future real interest rate. So real interest rate in future, T plus N, expected future. So this is going down, okay? So as a result, what will happen to the I's or the ln curve? We have a Y here, we have an R here, this is I's, this is ln. LM has everything to do with the current period policy rate, right? So nothing happens to LM curve because current R is not changing. However, if let me write this down, future interest rate is falling. As a result, what might we do? We might invest more because of this, because we know interest rate. You guys remember the relationship between interest rate is Y and R, and this is a positive relationship, this is a negative relationship. Now of course we've added what do you call it, expectation into it. So investment will depend on this period Y, this period R, but also future expected Y and future expected R. And so the relationship, this is positive, this is negative, this is positive, this is negative. What we have here is this is going down. If this is going down with a negative relationship, investment will be going up. So what we have in this scenario is I's curve is going to shift to the right. That's part A. Okay, part B, an increase in current real policy interest rate. Okay, so now what's happening is the current period, in period T, the interest rate is going up. Is it increasing? Yeah, it's going up. Now this is fairly simple. Let me draw the diagram. Again, we have Y, R, IS, and LM. Nothing is going to happen to IS. LM is going to, what's happening? Increase in the current real policy. Right, so LM is going to go up. So we were here where this was our policy rate. Now this is going up to, let's say, R star. So it's gone up. So that's part B. In part A, I is shifted to the right. Part B, LM is shifting up. Let's do part C. Part C, an increase in expected future tax. So expected future tax is going up. So okay, this is slightly more complex than the previous two problems. The way I see it, there's going to be two effects, okay? First of all, if we expect tax to go up, then we expect our future consumption to go down. Or rather, let's say we expect our future disposable income to go down. Since we expect to have less income, we are going to consume less, right? Both in this period and also probably in future periods. When consumption goes down, what's going to happen? Sorry about that. When consumption goes down, what's going to happen? Ice curve is going to shift to which direction? Shift to the left. This is the first thing that's going to happen. But let's also talk about another thing that is going to happen is change in interest rate, real interest rate, which is going to fall, right? Because, okay, let me explain this a little bit more. Tax going up is what? It's tax going up. Now our future is an example of contractionary fiscal policy. If contractionary fiscal policy is implemented, Y is going to fall. We've talked about that here. Y falling is effectively a recession. So what might happen is that in order to fix this, the Feds might implement an expansionary monetary policy in order to bring output back to the initial level. This is going to increase output. But an expansionary fiscal policy also means this doesn't actually have to happen. That's the important thing. The question does not tell us that an expansionary monetary policy will be implemented, but as long as there is expectation that an expansionary monetary policy will be or might be implemented, that's going to, what's that? That's lowering R. And when R goes down, what's that going to do? That's going to ice shift to the right. So you see we have two effects here. One is ice is going to shift to the left, and the other is ice is going to shift to the right. And we do not know which of these effects will be larger. Okay, so if this effect is larger, overall effect is ice shifts to the left. If this effect is larger, overall effect is that ice will shift to the right. And it may also happen that they cancel each other out and the ice curve does not shift at all. It's all possible. Okay, and let's take a look at the final question, D. There's a decrease in expected future income. Okay, so expected future income is falling. As a result, what happens to the ice Ellen curve? I mean, this is fairly straightforward, right? This will not affect the Ellen curve, but ice will shift to the left. I'm not drawing the diagram, and it's easy enough to shift the ice to the left. So that was question number 2. What should we do next? Let's do question number 4. Number 4 is actually very important. Okay. Before that, we need to talk a bit about what is rational expectation. So rational expectation basically tells us is that consumers and farms also, of course, makes economic decisions based on their expectation, or let's call it future expectations about the economy. Well, basically, just give you guys an example. You are deciding whether to buy a car or not. You don't just make that decision in isolation. You don't decide, I have money in bank, let me just go out and buy a car. You form your decision about whether to buy a car or not about your future expectations. So if you think that, all right, I have money right now, but for the next 2 years, I expect the economy to do bad, interest rate might go down, income might go down, and things will be difficult. So you may decide not to buy the car. Or even if you don't have money right now, but your expectation is that you will have money in the future, you may buy the car. So the decision that you're making is based on the future. Okay. Now the question in number 4, let's read the statement. It says that the rational expectation assumption is unrealistic because essentially it amounts to the assumption that every consumer has perfect knowledge of the economy. We have to discuss this. Okay, so the statement is telling us that it's unrealistic for us to expect people to know everything about what will happen in the future in the economy. And so this hypothesis of rational expectation is correct. So I disagree with this statement. I disagree because rational expectation doesn't require us to know everything that will happen to the future of the economy. Absolutely no one knows what will happen. What rational expectation requires us to do is form expectations. This may be wrong, this may be right, but form expectations based on what we think will happen, and then make our decisions based on these expectations. And we don't even have to make decisions on our own. We can listen to the experts, we can read reports prepared by other people, and we can use all of this to form our own expectations, or we can just listen to people who knows more about those things and use their expertise to form our expectations. Rational expectation does not require us to know with 100% certainty what will happen to the future. We just need to form some expectations. Okay, so question 4, very important, because